Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course. That was a very suave entrance. Brian, jumping in just under the wire.
When you think of suave, you think of Brian Tompkins.
Yeah, and that was impressive.
What's up, Chris?
Episode 293.
Hard to believe.
Here. Yep. Steve Cioppa is waiting the wings. We're going to be talking with him tonight. He's had a very, very successful year. We'll be diving into all of that stuff. Real quick, we want to make a note of two things. First and foremost, locally, this coming Saturday is the Ellison's Cleanup Derby online. They've fall cleanup demo at Paradise Speedway. They've got 6 divisions that are running there. First place for the full-size 1,500 compacts or 1,000 to win. Get out there, support those guys. Hopefully the weather's decent for that one.
I don't want to say it looks like it's going to be a nice weekend, but it looks like it's going to be a nice weekend. So hopefully they have a great turnout and smash a bunch of cars.
That would be just fine. And then also Ed Brewster was in Chillicothe, Ohio for the tractor pulling World Championships that they have.
I saw pictures of that. That looked awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That looked really cool. I saw Ian went down there and competed in like 18 different classes with his RC stuff. Did pretty well. I can't believe he got a Mad Dog, though. I don't know like if his father's going to kick him out of the family for that or – because, I mean, you know, Jake usually runs a car and put the taillights back in it and put it on the road. But congratulations to Ian going down there and bringing home some hardware. That's pretty cool.
And Bill Andrews ended up getting the win. It was in Montpelier, Ohio. And Bill Andrews got the win. Glenn Emery and Aaron Jester rounding out the top 3. Nate White got the main event Mad Dog, another local guy, and another guy who's really good at sandbagging. Actually,
every now and then you got to turn it up a little bit,
right?
Wow, that just completely slipped my mind.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's hard to get old and lose your train of thought easy. Like
gone.
I don't know, gone.
Breathe in too much
USA.
gasoline fumes over this weekend?
No, not really. We our run didn't go so long.
It did not. I've never seen a wheel get packed in around like they did on that caliper.
Yeah, it's I've seen that happen before. It actually bent the hub a little bit. Kyle Black, one of Dave's crew members, was straightening out the rotor with a hammer, which sounds pretty redneckish until he spun it around like twice and the rim went back on perfect. So pretty good with that hammer.
Yep.
Just
to catch everybody up, I jumped into that too quick. To catch everybody up, Brian spent the weekend as the gas man for Gary Tompkins' car at Super Dirt Week XLVIII 48.
Wow, that's impressive.
And early on, Gary he was a victim of circumstance, really. He got bounced around a little bit and ended up bending the rim, and it packed in around the caliper. And everybody with the Demolition Derby car is familiar with how that happens. And they did all the Derby repairs to it. They got the hammers out and just they pounded the wheel off and then pounded everything back straight. And he went back out there and tried to turn some more laps. It's gorgeous.
I ended up breaking a panhard bar.
Yeah.
It bent in the same incident, and I thought maybe it would hold, but it didn't. So we ended up that track was not what anybody there hoped for. I'm sure WRG or whatever they call themselves now probably wasn't real excited with it either. So hopefully they can do something different. I was thinking of ways to fix it on my way home, but nothing good came up. Maybe a little whatchamacallit, calcium.
Right.
Keep a little moisture in it, but
that would be one way to do it. Also, it doesn't help that it's an asphalt track. And they were probably heading it on the dry side anyway because of all the rain that they had the day before.
Yeah.
The track Saturday night was great.
Yeah, I heard it was very racy. I guess there was a bad hole going into 3. Unfortunately, we were pitted right in the middle of the front stretch, so I had a nice view of them coming across or start finish line. But other than that, I really couldn't see much. So,
Steve Cioppa hanging out with us. Steve had an absolutely spectacular 2019 season. Steve, it started off with the win on the road, picking up the Bluegrass Bash win in Kentucky, and then things just kept falling your way the rest of the year. How good was this season?
This season was it was one of the better ones. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It was a good season. I mean, we ended up winning the Bluegrass Bash, and then we went to the Chaos in the Valley down in Virginia there in the next month after that, and won that one. We won some hardcore shows, and we won the hardcore championship, Keystone Nationals. I mean, it's been a good year.
Where's this year rank in terms of the top to bottom hierarchy of your career? I mean, it was just win after win after win.
This is probably the best year. I mean, I've had years where I've won quite a few, but I mean, I don't think I've lost one yet this year. So I mean, it's never been like that.
Right.
that's not a bad way to have a season go.
It's not bad at all. Got one more to do, so we'll see how that one pans out.
We'll jump into Blizzard Bash here in just a little bit. Which one of the wins this year was the biggest in terms of profile? I got to assume that one out there in Kentucky's got to rank pretty high.
That's got to be that one. I mean, there were some killer drivers on the track at night. I mean, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bag fest too at times. There was but pretty much everybody was doing it. But it was it was a 2+ hour derby. So it was. But there were some great guys on the track that night. So that one's up there with the Keystone National wins and stuff. It's definitely. We had to fight the track a little bit, fight the driver. That was a good win.
Did the 2-hour feature out there feel like 2 hours? I mean, did it still seem like it went by in a pretty quick hurry?
It still went fast, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't seem like we were there for 2+ hours derby. And I mean, I guess when you get out of there, you're like, holy shit, the pits are empty. Everybody, it was kind of crazy, but yeah, it was that was a fun one. It was a stock $400 Vortec junkyard motor that ran that long. It was awesome. That was that was like one of the best parts of it.
You guys have won a lot of money over the years with those Vortex. They're a pretty reliable motor for you.
Oh man, I swear by them. They're good little motors. I mean, they're perfect for that because it's a light build, so the car's light. I mean, I don't think it'll pull the heavy cars like a Blizzard Bash or a turn back the car kind of car. That for that kind of show. That's because then that's the exact motor I had in the hardcore championship card. And that thing, it doesn't miss a beat.
Yeah. I was going to ask if he was brave enough to try one of those Vortex at Blizzard.
No, I think he wants the horsepower and torque.
Them cars, the Blizzard Bash cars, turn back the clock cars, they're heavy. So there's nothing done to them. I keep them stock. They're right out of the vehicles that come off the street. So I don't do too much to them, but just change the intake carb and distributor, and then that's it. Other than that, they're bone stock, and man, I don't know, I'm just getting good ones and getting little freaks and lucky, but this is like the third or fourth one, and boy, they never let me down.
Now, your win at Keystone Nationals, was that with the Imperial you ran the year before at Bash for Cash?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
So how was it to get a win with an Imperial again? That had to feel pretty good, huh?
Oh, it was great. That car is so nasty. I would have liked to see how the Bash would have panned out if I didn't get put up on the wall because that car is bad. It's still perfect, ready to go. We'll find somewhere next year to run it and see what happens with it. I think it's going to be around for a while.
Was that your third Keystone Nationals championship?
That was the third Keystone Nationals, yes.
And we were talking about the significance of the wins and things along those lines, and the high-profile win was in Kentucky, but I got to believe that win at the Keystone Nationals, given that it was most likely a one-off return to a place where your family has found so much success, that had to be the one that really stuck out from the course of the year in terms of the sentimental importance.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely. That was, and it was a great derby. I mean, they didn't get the turnout that they usually get. Mm-hmm. But the cars and the people that were in there, man, it was it was a hard Derby for sure. I mean, it wasn't there wasn't a slouch on the track.
Was it likely a one-off? Is there any likelihood that we'll see Keystone Nationals on the schedule for 2020?
I got a good feeling that you will see Keystone Nationals in 2020.
Oh, that's awesome. Good deal.
Yeah. Keep your eye. It's going to be from what I hear. It's going to be pretty badass too.
Cool. That's cool.
I got my mind thinking. I might have to text you later, bud. But yeah, I mean, you definitely had a good year. It's a good thing you got a big shop to put all those big trophies in. Because I know you're not taking them home with you after the big wins.
What's that? The trophies?
Yeah, you got a big shop to put them in. Because I know you're not. They don't come and sit in the living room at home.
I can't. I'm not allowed to bring them home. But a couple. I give them away, a lot of them. But the good ones like Keystone Nationals, the bigger ones, I want to hold on to them. But a lot of them I give them away to the little kids all year long. They love it.
That's cool.
The one little boy we gave it to, his mother said it's on his nightstand. He sleeps with it every night. That's the best.
That's awesome. Now
you used to give trophies away to little kids.
Yeah,
it was your kids.
My brother did. Now, your minor league driver for Cioppa Racing, he came up to New York and did pretty good for himself.
Who, Joey?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey's tough, man. He's plus Joey knows what he's doing. I mean, he's been around it since he's 3 years old with us. So, it's he better know what he's doing. He knows how to put them together now. He knows, and I like his driving style too. I mean, I've been watching him drive. He's really coming into his own. Yeah,
I was at San Filippo, and it was funny because I mean he looked like he'd been doing it a long time. 'Cause, I mean there was he was outnumbered. He was kind of running with Munch, and at one point there was like 4 cars just all the way around him, and he didn't get nervous. I mean he never broke a beat. He just kept on making good shots and driving out of stuff. And at one point, he stuck a guy in against the wall and pushed a dead car up against him and held him there. And I mean, he did a really good job. I mean, he's definitely learned a lot from watching you guys.
Oh, he's going to be a force. I mean, he is now. I mean, from all the years, he's definitely caught on. He knows his shit now.
Yeah, he did very well down there.
He's ready for the big shows. I think he is.
Now, the hardcore shows that you were talking about. That was Frankie Guy's operation, right?
Yes. Yeah, Frankie Guy, Hartzell, Howman, Charlie Post, they're all good guys, and they started that hardcore up locally, which was just a blessing. It's such a good thing what they're doing that it brought, because the local derbies, there's really 3 promoters, and they were kind of dying down. I mean, but hardcore brought some, they pumped some life back into the derby scene here in Western PA, which was nice to see. And then Wyatt, the WGD guys, they do a good job, but they run mainly just stock stuff and 80s and newer stock. Mm-hmm. That's that one that I actually won last year. That championship was the WGD championship, and and I like the stock derbies. They keep you in check, as far as your driving skill, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's why I run a lot of stock type derby still.
Absolutely. Now, we talked to Dustin Ingram, and he said that it's demolition derby is not exactly like riding a bike. It's more along the lines of like football or something else that you need to practice at and make sure that you keep your skills on top to stay sharp. Mm-hmm.
You definitely need seat time. I mean, because there's certain aspects of it. It's like riding a bike, but when you're out there, it's always changing. I mean, you definitely gotta. The more seat time you get, the better you're going to be.
Did you guys run New Alex this year? Did they have this series like they normally do, or?
I didn't run New Alley at all year. I think Todd and Mark did. Well, Mark did. I think Mark won pretty much every show that he ran up there.
That's cool.
He followed the Derby Dog guys around, and I think he won most of their shows that he ran. Mark was on a good hot streak until it would come down to me and him.
Now, don't Mark and Todd still owe you one from somewhere? Isn't that the story I heard?
Oh, no, I owed them one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember which way that worked.
Mark and Todd teamed up on me in the New Alley Championship a couple years back, and they definitely had it planned. They say they didn't, but they did because it happened too quick. That's why when it come down to me and Mark at the hardcore show, and I had my big bald one, I said, you know what? There's no way that I'm shutting this thing because the rad got hit. I said, Mark's looking at me like, you're not going to shut it down. I'm like, you're out of your mind. There's no way. I'll melt this thing down before I let you win. And that's what happened. He ended up cooking a tranny, which is great. And then, I got the motor hot, but it's still good. So that's what's in the Blizzard Bash car.
That's awesome.
Gotcha.
Nothing like family out there to make you work a little bit harder.
Oh, that's the best. I mean, I see guys when they're there with their buddies, they'll shut it down, they'll pitter patter. Not us, we go at it. It's all about talking shit after the Derby.
I was gonna say, I'm sure the coffee shop Monday morning probably gets pretty heated with all you guys in there.
Oh, it's the best. That's the best part of it.
We had Frankie on the show to talk about their season, and when we were doing that run, recapping all the area points, here a few weeks back on the show, I forgot that they did points with that operation because the big promoter down there, after Bo stepped away a little bit and slowed down his pace, the only big promoter that you guys had down there was Cruise Shores and then Derby Dogs, right?
Yeah. It was, and then Wyatt, but that WGD. But like I said, they do more of a stock. But yeah, it was pretty much Derby Dog and the Cross Shore demolition derbies. But that's why I said it was like hardcore was like a breath of fresh air coming in the Western Pit. It was awesome.
Sure. Now, hardcore had a lot of the same officials that were at the Hillbilly Heaven show that Big Rock was involved with, and Chris was involved with that. Was that Hillbilly Heaven, that must have just been a one-off, or did that get absorbed by the hardcore operation?
I think it's just a one-off, because isn't that the one that Diver had a lot of...
Right.
He had a lot to do with that one, yeah.
Yeah, they gave away all sorts of guns, and they gave away the side-by-side. They had
a lot of cool stuff.
They had all, yeah, it was...
Yeah, because I don't think that one happened again this year, so I think that's probably just a one-off.
I didn't remember seeing it either, but I was wondering, since so many of those same people were involved and there was that overlap, if eventually that was going to come back as a returning event or something, given who was there.
Now, Steve threw his hat in the promoter ring this year with Iron City Productions.
Iron City Promotions, yep.
Promotions.
Yep.
How'd that go for its first year?
It was good. I mean, it's different. I'd rather be driving. I'd rather be in the seat. But it's that different aspect of it, which, if I'm ever done driving, I can still be around derbies, which is still cool.
Yep.
It's mainly going to be just the Florida show, and then, like we said, we want to do one in Pittsburgh. We did the Ohio show, that compact show, which it turned out pretty good. We were pleased. We had a good bit of cars. I mean, it was good.
Now, isn't there a big
no
dirt track
guy by any means, but it was definitely a good, fun show to watch.
Pittsburgh Motor Speedway.
I was going to say, isn't there the Pittsburgh Motor Speedway? That'd be a nice place to have a derby.
I don't even think that's open anymore, is it?
I think so. I think the late models still run the big show down there, the Pittsburgher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I know it was there last. I think I just read something recently about it as well. But
Pennsylvania Motor Speedway.
Or Pennsylvania Motor Speedway.
Yeah, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. Is that an asphalt track? I think it's an asphalt track, isn't it?
Well, their graphic is a checkered flag, a late model, a sprint car.
I was going to say, no, it's dirt. There you go. That'd be one right in the hometown. That'd be nice.
Right. Yeah. I've been there playing. I'm mixing it up with Smithton. Smithton's the one that closed down. Smithton Motordrome Speedway. That's the one. That's why I was drawing a blank there. But that one closed down.
Gotcha.
That one was that's a dirt one. But yeah, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway is that's still up and running.
Nazareth.
Lernerville Speedway. You ever heard of Lernerville Speedway?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a local one. That's local.
I didn't realize
back at Lernerville back in the day. I actually got banned from Lernerville.
What happened there?
Just they like stock type build back. This is way back. This is like in the late '90s, they like the stock type build, and I pulled the car off the trailer and it was sitting too high and stiff, and they made me load it up and they said, "Don't come back." That's after I won a championship like 3 years in a row down there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
It wasn't quite as wild as Mark getting banned from New Alex then.
No, Mark. He had a lifetime ban from New Alexandria. They must have saw the light and let him back in.
I was going to say, every time we've been there, he ran.
Yeah, every time he's always there.
Yeah, he had a lifetime ban. Him and an official got into it one night. It was just a bad night.
I got a lifetime ban from.
And they threw me out for 2 little 1-inch welds the same night, and then I was banned for a year, but I didn't go back for years after that.
I got banned from Jam Productions for life.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What'd you do to get banned?
Jay and I had a disagreement, and I, in no uncertain terms, told him what I thought of him, and so on and so forth. And probably a month later, I got a letter saying
right?
Yeah. That due to unsportsmanlike actions and words, I would be serving a lifetime ban from Jam Productions Motorsports. Not a real big deal.
I'm pretty sure that Donnie Hartzell got one of those too. One of those letters.
Yeah. I wish I still had it. That'd be cool to.
It would be, right?
My...
I'm surprised that we haven't gotten one.
Yeah.
The show, I mean.
Yeah.
But in any case, Steve was talking about the 1-inch welds and getting tossed for the 1-inch welds.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the Keystone Nationals, or was it the one that was held like the week prior, Steve, where you got your fix-it plates and proceeded to cut the fix-it plates into many 1x1 squares, and then welded them into a checkerboard pattern on the rail to stretch the to make it fit better.
Yes. There was no rules what to do with the fix-it plates. They really didn't have anything in place. And, my diabolical brain started clicking.
I'm sure Burroughs was right there with you helping.
What's that?
So I'm sure Burroughs was right there with you helping.
Oh yeah, Burroughs is the one that puts it all together. It's like we're like a perfect match. It's sweet.
Crazy.
It's a good combo. We're like Pippen and Jordan.
That's a good combination.
Or Brady and Belichick, or how about that? We'll go with that one.
Well, we're all out of time.
Now, how is the build for Blizzard Bash coming? You guys making progress?
It's almost done.
Really?
It's almost ready. Yes, it's almost ready. I mean, we were into the build before the Hardcore Championship, and then we actually stopped and put the Hardcore Championship car together in between. So it would be 100% done by now if we didn't, have the Hardcore Championship to deal with.
Very cool.
What'd you build?
Yeah. For Blizzard Bash?
Yeah.
2-door Impala.
Interesting.
Different, huh?
Yeah, a little bit for you anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be as many wagons at Blizzard Bash as there was last year?
I bet. I think the wagon's going to be the new norm at Blizzard Bash.
It's a good thing you only got 6 of them parked behind the shop.
I got a bunch of wagons. Yeah, I was going to do a wagon. I'm just loving these GM sedans right now. We got the back ends down, and so they roll just right. Everything's for that kind of show where you got to do a lot of work in the middle. I'm more comfortable with doing a sedan right now instead of wagons. A lot of work in between getting them right.
You ain't kidding.
So did you run 2-doors all summer?
Say that again.
Did you run 2-doors all summer?
I didn't run. I don't think I ran any 2-doors. Everything I ran was no. Everything was just 4-door. No, this is the first 2-door this year.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think ever seeing you in a 2-door.
No.
I've been in 2-door Deuces. I've been in 2-door Impalas before, but this is a '74 2-door with the big roof pillar. I mean, there was a lot of thought, picking that car out of the lineup.
Oh yeah,
for Blizzard Bash.
Did you run the last? Was it the last one you ran? Did you run a Buick at that, or was that a GM or a Chevy? The last show you ran.
Where at it? Blizzard Bash?
No, the last hardcore show.
Oh, that was a deuce. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a 76 deuce and a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys got those. You guys got those dialed in pretty good too.
Yeah, that car rolled up just right too. That car's great.
This year's Blizzard
Good.
Bash team.
I'm going to run that one again.
I think probably all the cars from this year you can run again, can't you?
No, the only one I had to cut up, I had to cut the kicker car up. The one that I won in Virginia with, and the one I beat Mark with. That was actually the Blizzard Bash car that I got loaded in.
Gotcha.
And I've been running that one, but I had to cut it up, so I needed all the drivetrain out of it for this year's Blizzard Bash car. But it was still good. I could have ran it again.
You know, I remember a couple of years ago you told me you were all done buying cars.
I know. I keep telling people that, but man, it's just crazy. Something pops up, and I gotta have it.
Oh goodness!
Well, was it?
Gotta have it.
The last picture he sent me was of a driver's station wagon. I mean, like the paint still shined when it came off the showroom floor. It was
that Pontiac. That one's not going to get derby.
Ever or for a while?
Getting tucked away. What's that?
I said ever or just for a little while.
I don't think ever. I mean, I got every wagon I got right now is all Pontiacs, and they're all rust free, and that one's complete driver. You know, I think it's a survivor. I'm going to keep it and eventually make a cool driver out of it, LS motor swap or something like that. And then, but I got other ones that are I'm going to smash. They're stripped out already, but they're clean cars. So
you'll tuck that right into the next to the Impala with the airbags and let them sit there.
That's exactly where it's sitting right now.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to send you a picture of the shop right now. It's kind of crazy. I got 3 Imperials in there, two fresh wagons in there, Blizzard Bash car. I got a 2-door Lincoln sitting in the shop. Everything's in the shop right now.
Man.
Steve owns his own business, and
it's like a derby. It's like a derby guy's dream garage with all the different makes and models.
Steve owns a business, and he's in demolition. And strangely enough, it's not demolition derby. It's a different type of demolition, but the whole back part of the shop is all demolition derby. So it's kind of cool when a guy can work his job and his true passion all together. That kind of works out nice.
It's actually a big distraction half the time. I'm in there doing derby stuff, thinking derby stuff, and messing with the cars more than I'm doing work sometimes. So
now, how often do I have to come out and get you from the derby shop to come back into work? Does that happen often, or
it happens probably four or 5 times a day.
That's great.
That's no BS. That's at least 4 times a day.
Oh, that's terrific.
With the way that the season went, it started off on the high point with the Bluegrass Bash, and then things continued going. Does winning beget winning in Demolition Derby the way that it seems to in circle track racing?
No. Winning, I mean, it's because they're all different. I mean, it's different venues, different builds. I mean, no, it's fun to win them all.
It's I always thought that, especially with circle track side of things, that it was a momentum type concept, that you get the confidence together and sometimes things just start firing on all cylinders, and it leads you to a point where you're just in the zone and you're driving sharp and you're driving smart, and the preparation's on point. Given the way the dominoes have fallen this year, so does that then give you any type of momentum going into Blizzard Bash, or is it?
You know what I think it is. It was actually running that stock WGD Derby last season that kind of brought my driving back into where it was supposed to be. I mean, people think Derby and you go out and you smash a car and then you're done. I mean, no, there's a lot of thought and a lot of skill, and before that, my driving was kind of all over the place until I did that stock show, and it kind of brought me back into my groove.
Sure.
Where I used to be, driving wise, which that's why I like these stock derbies now, because the cars where they're all protectors and this and that, and everything's braced, and you go out there and just go crazy back and forth. That kind of ruined. I think it ruins the driving skill, actually. But if you can run that kind of car, you know, like you run a stock car, I mean, you're going to be a threat.
Right. Yeah,
that's what I think it is. I don't know if it's momentum just because one win leads to another. I think it's just the mindset of that driving them stock cars is what, you know, brought me back to reality. It's the only thing I could think of.
Now we've touched on a bunch on the show the pace of Blizzard Bash.
Yes.
I mean, you know, a lot of guys do. I mean, they just let it rip, but I mean, to a point, I guess guys still do that. But I mean, you're still aiming for tires and trying to knock rear ends out and stuff. I mean,
trying to break 40 spline axles.
Yeah, trying to break 40 spline axles. I mean, is Derbyan that fast? Is it still fun?
Yeah, Blizzard Bash is a blast. That's one of the best derbies around still. I mean, the competition's second to none. It's everybody got nasty cars. It's just, yeah, that's fun. I mean, like I said, I like the stock ones and watching them bend and trying different things so they bend different ways. But no, the full protector class, I still love it. You know, that's still the baddest class, I think.
I like what he's saying about the full protector class. We've had similar conversations with some other guests in the past, talking with Steve Cioppa now as he gets ready to make the annual trek off to Topeka, Kansas, and go compete in Blizzard Bash 2019. The protectors and the full weld cars do offer you a margin of error.
Yes.
There's a cushion there, but if you don't, how do I want to word this? If you don't pay attention, that cushion will actually turn around and be an issue, because
exactly.
you can get the car so hard that weird stuff breaks.
Yes.
And we see that every year at Blizzard Bash, that somebody gets caught because of the pace, the position, the team, whatever it might be. They get caught and just stuff goes way wrong because the angles of the hits and things like that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, exactly. You hit it right on the head. I mean, it's a different kind of, you know. You could drive hard with the protector car, where you know you could drive hard a little bit with the semi-stock cars, but then you got to slow the pace up to preserve the car a little bit. With the heavy build cars, I mean, it kind of dumbs down the driving a little bit. You know, and that's what I think that's where I was with the protector class. But you know, getting back into these stock cars probably brought it back to reality, I think.
Right.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, we've touched on it also, is that, you know, especially the last couple of years, the features have kind of come down to, you know, a little bit more of the driving. It's not, you know, there hasn't been as many just guys out there. You know, the first couple of years we went, the features, they said go, and everybody was wide open. But I feel like that the last couple of years, it's, you know, the drivers have started to, you know, have more of an effect, as in, you know, they're still taking hard shots, but they're not taking the oddball hard shots. I mean, they're becoming more calculating.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and I really think that's, you know, the feature may not be as fast paced, but, you know, I think the driving has improved overall. You know, like the driving's come back into it more. Guys aren't as, you know, just out of control as they had been in years past.
Right, and I think that's what the protectors did for so many years, was just give the guys the confidence that they could just go ape shit, and the car's going to be fine. And you know, it kind of took some of the driving skill out of the sport. But you know, now that this semi-stock cars, and you know, they're all coming back, and you know, that's the more popular builds right now, if you ask me.
Do you remember the year that there was something in the rule that allowed you to have something built off the dash bar?
Yeah, there's a kicker
pointed right at the back of the DP, and all the cars were locking in, like 2 hits in.
Yeah.
They were nosed up and they just stopped.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the squishy stuff behind the wheel started hurting.
That was the first year we went when that rule was in there.
Was it?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
And I mean, we saw some weird stuff happening with that. A couple guys bent the dash bars.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember a guy in our heat. I remember his dash bar bending. You know, it wasn't on our team. It was the other team. I remember his dash bar. It was bowed completely backwards towards him. That was crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we've touched on that, is that, as big and heavy as these cars are and as hard as these guys drive, after the second day you go out and you can see where cages are bending.
Right.
And I couldn't imagine. Steve, how many pounds of steel do you think you have in your cage for your Blizzard Bash car? I mean, you're around this stuff all the time.
It's so heavy. They're heavy. I mean, it's all 3/8 thick tubing. I mean, it's heavy. I would like to weigh one time.
But I mean, on the light side, you got to have what, 500-600 pounds in there at least, maybe.
I think that's the light. You're right. That's definitely the light side. I was thinking, 700, 800, 900 pounds of cage in there. I bet with everything they give you, you're allowed to stack door bar on top of door bar for Blizzard Bash. I mean, I don't do it, but I see guys, they have door bars stacked from pretty much the rocker all the way up to the top of the door.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, you can walk around the pits and see where guys are getting their cages bent. I mean, it is just insane how hard these cars are and how hard they hit. I mean,
it is.
It's crazy.
It is.
One of my favorite parts of Blizzard Bash is inspection line. When the cars pull up onto the lifts,
the lifts struggle.
Go.
Lift starts leaking hydraulic fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how much easier they lift up the compacts.
A couple years ago, they blew a line on one of them.
Yeah.
Remember that? They were trying to get it.
Yeah. I was there that year.
I almost think that was Chiver's car.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was Chiver's car.
It was Chivers. It was one of the black wagons.
Yeah,
because
it
was
crazy.
75 black wagons.
Yeah, there's a couple of those out there.
The team this year's got some new talent on it. Is that public knowledge yet?
Yeah, it's on the page.
Yeah, it's out there. It's me, Jimmy Johnson, Rhett Gluey, and Kurt Gegg. Mm-hmm. Brett Clemens was on the team, but he had to bail because he has family. His daughter, dealing with his daughter and everything. But we got a good team. I'm confident in our team. We got a great team. And then Kansas has the other Gegg, Tom Gegg, the other Clemens, Ed, and Chicken.
Okay, cool.
Did I miss? 36.
Yeah, Chad Markley. I didn't hear Chad's name.
Chad isn't running this year?
Yeah, Chad's on the Kansas team.
Okay. I was going to say.
Yeah, Chad. I said Chad, Chicken, and Tom Gegg and Clemens.
You know what we haven't mentioned all year is I believe Chicken and his wife had their first baby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, little boy. I'm pretty sure it was their first. So I've been going to say that all year, and I kept forgetting.
Well, I'm glad to see that he's going to run Blizzard Bash because sometimes having a first baby means that you don't go to Topeka.
Yeah, that's sort of things happen. Sort of things happen.
Right.
It's close enough, I guess. It's okay, right?
Now, Steve, we've asked a lot of guys, that have been on here before, and I want to ask you, after all these years, do you remember the first win and the kind of car you had for it?
Yes. First win was at New Alexandria. I think it was 91. Yeah. And it was a 73 Plymouth Fury wagon.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah. See, everybody starts with the good stuff, and then they go to the dark side.
Did that have a subframe in it?
I'm telling you, I'm still a Chrysler guy at heart. I like my Mopars, man. And it was almost a coin toss, but if I was going to bring a Chrysler to Blizzard Bash just to be different, because I think that I can make a Y-framer just ridiculous for that with those rules.
That would be cool.
It was real close. I mean, it was pretty much a coin toss.
We've seen some pretty nasty Y-framers out there. Hoffmeister had one year that was crazy.
Yeah.
It would have been on the same page as that subframer we just built. I mean, it would have been pretty much the same kind of setup.
Hey, I think you guys ought to corral Tim out there and talk to him about being able to run an Imperial on each team. Subframe.
We tried that. And hands down, that would be my car. I would take would be a subframe Imperial.
That would be so cool.
It would just eat shit alive.
That would be awesome.
They're the baddest.
Oh,
it sure would be fun.
That would be nice to see.
They are bad.
Nice
bad news. Yeah, that'd be sweet, to see with at least one subframer, even a full frame. How sweet it would be to see a full framer on a team. Our Florida show, we allowed all imps back into the that semi-stock class, and we've had pre-registers, coming in, and it's pretty much half full, maybe a little more than half full. All Imperials but 3 so far. I'm so pumped up about it.
Wow.
And half of them are subframers and half are full framers. I can't wait.
That's awesome. I know after or going into Spinning Wheels Imps versus the World, I hope I get this right. If not, Jerry will correct me. But I believe that this winter they were going to have talks about the possibility of Imps being allowed into one of their classes as well.
There's been a couple conversations that have happened about that. If you remember, the Imperials were allowed back at Morris under Total Destruction. Mm-hmm. They started letting the subframers back in, and Richie Predmore had one on the night that everybody painted their cars yellow in tribute of Rick Engelhart, and it wasn't this invincible beast. He didn't win with it. He had a great run, but he didn't win with it, and it showed that given particular rule books, the subframe Imperial anyway is at least a mortal being, but it would be pretty cool to see a 68 Imperial knocking out pillars on wagons inside the Kansas Expo Center.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We had that. We did our show in Ohio. We had a stock class. It's semi-stock, so you can do a little bit of work to them. It was half Imperials and half Crown Vics. It was so badass watching the Imperial. They would just go full tilt front end into the back end of the Crown Vic, and it was like they ate the ass end right off it. They pull away, and there's no back end left on the Crown Vic. It was badass.
That's awesome.
That sounds.
Toast ended up winning it in an Olds 98.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Toast is an all right driver. He does good.
Actually, let the Imperials, full framers and subframers, in his that River City Rampage he's doing in May next year. So, and that's it's like an old iron class, and I'm actually going to take a full framer to that class.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
That may be worth going to watch.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
Now, are any other members of Cioppa Racing going to that, or just you?
I think me and Mark so far. We're trying to talk Todd into it, but them guys are getting ready for Vegas. The big Vegas show coming up. Mm-hmm. They got a good team for Vegas. Vegas is going to be good.
Yeah, I read that team online. That's a pretty imposing team.
Toast, Ziz, Todd, and Mark. That's a great team. If Blizzard, if they weren't so close, those two derbies, I would have been in there with them guys. But that's way too much. Because then even the following week after that, after Vegas, we go to Florida. But yeah, I would have loved to have been in that Vegas show. That's going to be badass.
So are you going to go out to watch Vegas, or are you going to?
No, because you figure when we get home from Blizzard Bash, they're going to be leaving for Vegas, and like I said, as soon as the week after we go to Florida for Thanksgiving, so there's no way my wife will kill me.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, it was too much. I mean, if they weren't close together like they were, I would have been in Vegas as well as Blizzard Bash.
But Mark also lives by the rule: happy wife, happy life. So it's all good.
Yeah, Mark's going to Vegas. Todd, they're all in. It's going to be.
Did you hear?
I can't wait to watch that one.
Did you hear what Todd did?
No.
For Vegas, he pulled strings and talked to the right people, and his wagon is going to be counted as a carry-on. They're going to fly it out there in the belly of a 737.
If anybody can pull that off, it would be Todd.
He's getting transported by air to Vegas.
If anybody could pull it off, it would be Todd.
Yeah, Todd's running a caddy for Vegas.
That's awesome. I like the nose of them caddies.
He ran one New Alley that year, and he loved it. So he got a nice 74 caddies taken to Vegas.
Cool.
Staying traditional. You got a nice Chevy Impala, 4-door Impala.
Nice.
Steve was talking about all of the ingenuity and stuff that goes into some of these full well cars and stacking the bars and stuff in the door, and I think we've talked plenty of times about the ingenuity and the engineering mind that goes into producing demolition derby cars, and if you think about it, if some of these builders had spent the amount of time on like engineering school that they spend on demolition derbies, they would be millionaire engineers versus thousandaire demolition derby drivers.
You know, honestly, what it is though, and this is the God's honest truth, and I to a point, speak for myself here, is that for whatever reason, somebody decided you had to go to college to learn all that stuff. So before you can do it, you have to go through all this reading and papers and all that garbage. These guys skipped all over that and went right to the hands-on and are as smart as any engineer there is out there.
They saved.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, there is nobody. I mean, the guys that run Topeka, I would put the minds out there fixing cars up against any race team anywhere for the stuff they have to do to get cars back on the track.
We have people in Topeka that could easily put something on the moon. It would most likely be a tilted Vic. But they could
absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing we've touched on it.
There's no doubt about it, right?
I mean, what you guys do between heats is just insane. I mean, even if you win a heat, it's very rare for a team to come out unscathed. I mean, the winners are usually, changing A-frames or changing ball joints or, something. Yep. But, I mean, you got guys that are, straightening frames with, 50-ton, electric over hydraulic presses and welding here. Yep. And, okay, if I cut this there and do this, it's amazing. I mean, second to none.
But they're not.
I always said if the world falls apart and zombie apocalypse or something like that, man, you want a whole team of Derby guys, in your stable there. Nobody will ever beat you.
That's very true. Very
Think
true.
About it, just the stuff that the Derby guys come up with. It's insane. I love it.
Just to wrapping up here, getting towards 6:45. The last time that we saw you in Blizzard Bash, you were holding down the fort for the entire team, and it was like a zombie apocalypse. It was you against the world out there in that consolation round. Just tell us a little bit about. We talked about that a number of different times on the shows, and that drive and the effort that it took, and you guys were running. You were running for your team's life in the national bracket. If your car went down, you guys were out of the national draw.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of awesome the way it worked out. I mean, every one of them guys wanted a piece of my ass so bad that they were crowded around me, and it actually worked to my advantage to where they couldn't get the big shots.
Right.
And every time I got out of that hole, I went right back in it. I tried to stay as inside the little hole they had me in as much as possible. And, I got out a couple times, made a couple hits on guys, but, my whole goal in that was just survival, trying to, stay alive.
Was there ever an element of, I guess, panic inside the car when you realized that everybody was coming after you that way? At least from our perspective on the top, watching it never looked like you were trying to run away or get away from that, and were content to let that group attack offer a buffer. Never any real adrenaline-related rush inside the cockpit, no wild shifting or anything like that. Were you really as calm as it looked?
It had. If I would have lost my head, I would have lost my ass. Put it that way. So that I looked over and I seen. I laugh every time I think about it too. I seen Jimmy flipped over on the other side of the arena there, and then Casey got worked over, real quick, and I'm like, oh man, this is, I'm the only one left here, and my whole goal in that whole process was to stay in the middle.
The effort was fantastic. It was like when you go out into Montezuma and all the carp were laying on top of each other trying so hard to get to that one hole. You know what I mean? They were just frantic, and in doing so, nobody was able to. It was the weight that was gradually crushing the car.
Yeah.
But there was no real haymaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking. I'm watching. I'm starting to pay attention, and the guys, their front ends are starting to go up, and they're getting hot, and I'm like, this rope-a-dope thing I'm doing here is kind of working in my advantage, and it actually worked to keep our team in the bracket. So
you were definitely you got out of the car, and you definitely got the biggest applause that weekend of any driver. You became a fan favorite on that one run.
Yeah, that was crazy that night. That was definitely a fun night. My Facebook exploded.
I like the Muhammad Ali reference.
Absolutely. Now.
Oh yeah, the rope-a-dope. Yeah, that was that's what I was doing. I mean, I was just trying to stay out of harm's way and just take a shot here and there. Just good old Muhammad Ali tactic.
Something that I talked about when I came back from San Filippo, I commented on Joey, I commented on Mike Klinger, and I want to ask you about it. How long, or maybe you did it quick, but how long did it take you to not get mad in a car? You know, someone lands a big shot on you, or someone does something to you. How long did it take you to not get pissed off in a derby car and just say, okay, you know, part of the game, and just keep driving with your normal plan? How long would you say it took you to get that skill?
You know, I got out of that for a while where I would actually get pissed off and just, you know, and drive hard. You know, like I said, that stock class is what brought me back to reality. But now, you know, I still get mad though. I mean, when someone gets a good shot on me, it's almost like an ego thing where, you know, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Where, but it's I don't know. I still get mad, but you know, I try to talk myself out of it. Where don't get too crazy, because you know, when you get crazy, you ruin the car, and you're out. You're sitting there watching the derby from in the middle of the track.
Yeah, that's one of those things I've noticed. Is, I mean, the top tier drivers, they you know, they have the ability to stay calm.
Cool.
I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen Bobby Whitaker lose his composure.
No.
And I think probably the best at that emotionless driving is Don Santel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen him get fired up one time, and it wasn't until after the Derby was over with.
Yeah.
But man, like Mike Klinger he's probably the most aggressive, emotionless driver. Like, you can hit him, and it doesn't faze him. He just turns around and it will get you back when you're not looking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he won't do it with a bad shot either. Mike's very smart. If he's going to get
if
you,
he don't get you back, his wife's getting you back.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, they're both good. They're both very good drivers.
Yeah, they're excellent. They're excellent drivers. They're good. They do nasty stuff too.
You've probably battled with Mike and Tiffany, right, Steve?
I battled him a couple times at Keystone. Yeah. Yep.
Tiffany's first win came at the Keystone Nationals in the stock division.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was her first win.
How's that for a big first win?
And it was awesome. We had some pictures of that car for a little while. I don't know whatever happened to him, but yeah, she won that, and then after that it was over. The wins started falling like dominoes for her.
Yeah, she's a very accomplished.
Yeah, she won. That was I believe she won in a Cordoba, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both still like their Mopars. I know he usually takes one to Virginia once or twice a year to whatchamacallit down there.
Chaos in the Valley.
Chaos in the Valley. Yep.
Yeah, he was down that night. I ran at Chaos in the spring here. He was down there. He was in a subframer, and he actually won that stock class they had that night.
Yep.
I would love to have him on the show.
We won't talk.
Nope.
That's not to be on the show.
It's just not their. It's just not their thing, and I get it. I mean,
but he'll talk to you all day. He just, not on the microphone. Which, you know what, Bobby Whitaker and Toby Hiley are the same way. They, you know, I talk to them whenever I see them, but they just Toby
Hiley wants to come on in a bad way. He just won't allow himself to do it.
Yeah.
I think he's ready. He'll do it. Toby will do it now.
Oh man, we've been begging for years to get Toby on, but it hasn't happened.
Toby, I'm telling you, it won't be long. You're going to see Toby back in the driver's seat too.
Yeah, how awesome will that be?
There's I hear grumblings. You know, Toby was one of the inspectors at the hardcore show, which was nice. You know, it was good to see him.
Yeah. Is Chris Furster?
I mean, it actually wasn't good to see him. But
Does Chris Furster drive much anymore? I haven't heard from him in a long time.
Yeah, Furster was in the hardcore. He won their first the show they had in the spring, hardcores, and then he was in the championship, and he had some transmission problems, and I think he cracked a tranny or blew a tranny, you know, in the championship that night. So yeah, Furster was actually in the championship, the hardcore championship.
At the Jefferson County Fairgrounds in 2011, maybe? 2011. Jefferson County Fairgrounds in Brookville, Pennsylvania is where the Keystone Nationals was held. But they decided to do a fall brawl show. They had a fall cleanup show. They had this Tim Showers brought this fully plated 62 Imperial, and there was like 3 Imperials there. And they had a truck division, and they had a stock class, and Chris Förster brought a Diplomat, and he won it. And he went to the pits, and then he pulled right back out with the weld cars and drove that Diplomat to third.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
He's very, very good. He's another dude that's cold.
Yeah.
He gets in the car and his eyes roll in the back of his head. It's like a great white shark.
It's like playing running against Jaws.
Yep.
Yeah, I call him the mad scientist Förster. He's always thinking of ways to do this and do that. He's a wild dude.
He's got a terrifying mind when
Yeah,
it comes to starting to put cars together and making parts and pieces work back and forth between different cars. It is insane.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. I mean, that's when we get to go to these big shows and just to stand around and listen to guys tell stories, and we've heard it from the best, from coast to coast, and just the old days and what we used to do to make you take the ball joints out of this car, the A-frames off this car, and you're just like, so I mean the stuff, the amount of time you'd have to run to know that stuff, to figure out, it's just so awesome. I mean, it's just the derby sport's growing, Steve, but as a driver and a builder, does it frustrate you that we aren't able to pick up mainstream sponsors like a Budweiser presents something, or Advanced Auto Parts presents? I mean, it's got to be kind of frustrating to you as a longtime driver and builder, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I would love to see it get into the spotlight. I mean, if people actually knew what went on with the derbies and behind the scenes, I think that they would get into it. But just getting it out there, for them to see it. That's the biggest thing with what I see happen. I mean, but right now it's bigger than ever, and it's more out there than ever. It's just getting it out to mainstream where you can get like a big sponsor. I think that would be great. But I hope they do it quick because my time's getting shorter.
You got at least another 10 years of driving.
Definitely.
See, you're good to go.
I'm good.
Part of the Derby mainstream evolution.
I think this is my 31st year straight. Never quit 1 year. Never no breaks, no nothing.
Wow. That's awesome.
That is cool.
Kind of giving my age away, but...
Demolition Derby has certainly been a benefit to the city of Topeka, and that's why Blizzard Bash continues to be a part of it at the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka, Kansas. Blizzard Bash 2019 is on deck, and that's why we're talking with Steve Cioppa as he gets ready to go out there. He had that memorable run in the Constellation event here just a couple of years back. November the 6th is going to be the heat draws. It starts at 7 o'clock. November the 7th, national and qualifying opening rounds. Remember, the national bracket goes for the main money, and the first two teams eliminated from that bracket are out of the national draw. The top two teams in the qualifying bracket earn a spot in the national draw the following year. The second round of qualifying is November the 8th. November the 9th, the compact and limited weld teams get their first action on the track. Heats for them. And then all the Team B features the trucks and limited weld one and done on the schedule there. November the 10th is Championship Sunday. All of the Team A main scheduled for November the 10th online, blizzardbash.com. We're kind of talking a little bit about some of the guys that are from that western Pennsylvania area. And we were talking, Tim Showers is one of them, and a couple other names popped in my head as we were talking, guys that Steve is pretty familiar with that are, I think they're underrated in the national landscape just because they don't go out and travel a whole lot. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Davey Chapman jumped off the page right away. And then Danny Trent. Mm-hmm. Danny Trent is just a remarkable talent out there, and we don't see him nearly as much as I would like to, because I think he'd be able to do some pretty impressive things out there in some of the deeper waters.
Danny Trent, man, he was such a badass on the track that I think he's done it. He hung it up. Yeah. They had that hardcore had that old timers class. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're really not old timers, but they derbied for years, and he they tried their in the worst way to get him to be part of it, and he didn't want no parts of it.
Yeah. Miss him. He was a fun guy to watch drive.
Yeah, definitely. I was always, for the one summer there, we were, I can't remember how many of Bo shows we did, but man,
5, 6.
Yeah, it was always great driving and great shows down there. I mean, those guys all were just excellent drivers, good builders. worth the price of admission for sure.
Yeah, Western PA definitely has a lot of talent to come out of Western PA as far as Derby guys.
You ain't kidding.
Well, you're going to be bringing your brand of Derby out to Topeka with part of Team Pennsylvania. We're certainly looking forward to seeing you when we get out there. Is there anybody else that you want to make mention of or anything? I can't believe we went through an hour that fast.
Just the guys that help out, Nick King, Mark Burrows, Todd, Mark, everybody. I mean, it's fun doing it with all these guys. They're all your buddies, and then you get to do all the, the Derby stuff. We have a blast. Every time we go to Derby, we have a good time. Even if you have a bad night, we still had a good time, and we still laugh about it, goof off. I mean, it's just that's why we like Derby so much. It's just all our buddies do it. We hang out. It's fun.
It sure is.
And it beats being at work.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes I got to go to work though to get to the Derby. So
once in a while. Well, Steve, man, we wish you the best of luck. This is kicking off our couple weeks worth of full in-depth coverage of Blizzard Bash as we lead up to that event here scheduled for the 6th through the 10th in November. We wish you the best of luck. Be safe building, be safe traveling, and we do appreciate you coming on the show as always.
No problem, guys. It's always a good time, and I guess we'll see you out in Kansas.
We'll see you there.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Yep,
Thanks.
You too.
See you now. Couple thoughts there from Steve Cioppa as he gets ready to go. Super dude. And we talk all the time about all the teams that are owed something by Kansas because Blizzard Bash is a evil fickle mistress.
Oh, yeah.
Those are guys that at face value they're certainly owed, but they also got incredibly lucky that one year. And with the year that Steve's had with all those wins that he piled up.
How cool would that be?
Boy, what a bookend, huh?
It would be awesome.
It would be a nice one. Let's see. We got to change that back. I forgot to put his flag up.
Uh-oh.
What was his name? I forgot to get that up there early on.
I can't tell you didn't turn my monitor
I know.
on.
I didn't even realize that wasn't on. I saw a blue glow over here, but it's a light. It's not the.
It's all right.
Not the monitor. It's fine.
I've done so many of these shows I can do them blind.
That's what happens when you get here. That's what happens when you get here at 5:59 in 30 seconds.
Oh, goodness.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at the North Park Building at Academy Square. Episode number 293 is in the books. We'll be back again next week. Hope everybody enjoyed their long weekends if you got to take advantage of it. And we'll be back here again next Monday to talk a little bit more about Blizzard Bash. We'll be catching up with some of the teams and some of the additional players that are going to be up and down those very busy brackets. When we get back here to the FingerLakes1.com studios here in Seneca Falls. We'll see everybody then. Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.